Last week, we figured out that the Lexus is leaning out big time because of a huge drop in fuel pressure while accelerating under boost.
Oh yeah. So I've got the fuel pump out of the Lexus and got the old pump here and the new pump here. This is a Walbro 450. Is it 450? 450 liters per hour, big boy pump. And it's like 90 bucks off Summit. So it's pretty close in comparison to this one. This pump over here uses this little collar and this seal, and then actually it's supposed to use this little cap too to hold the O-ring in place here. The O-ring slides up into the body, into that hole you see there. And this is actually like a hose barb on the end of this. That should just have a hose slid over it. But I'm gonna attempt to put it back in the pump body the same way this one fit, just for ease of installation and for normal function, and we're gonna see how that works. So I'm gonna see if I can convince this plug here to go into this hole right there. So the pump fit pretty good. I had to kind of modify this chingadera right here that holds on this pressure regulator. So if you guys didn't watch where we converted this to a return style system, the regulator is not actually regulating anything. It's just, I got a pop rivet in the end of it. It's just plugged so that it can't let any pressure flow this way. And that's why you have to see this little brass fitting here with this hose. This just goes to the Venturi, or the transfer pump that pumps fuel from the other side of the saddle tank from here. But actually our fuel returns back to that little port there. So got the new pump in. I'm gonna go install this thing right now and just see if we noticed improvement in fuel pressure. I don't have the laptop with me, so if it fixed it, we're just going to see it go extremely rich because I have the tune set to add a ton of fuel right now. But we'll go ahead and put the fuel pressure tester on it and see if we get any drop in fuel pressure. Oh yeah. Oh, she went way rich. Oh yeah, that thing went down to 10.00, which is as rich as it'll read. So I think we fixed her, baby! Now I just need to get the laptop, get her tuned up and running decent, and then we're turning up the boost.
But first, guys, it is hotter than hell in North Texas right now. We got to get this AC working. I'm going to get it charged up, and we need to get this thing working electronically. So in order to make the AC system work as it should on the Lexus, we do have a couple of challenges we need to overcome. So we can tell by looking at the schematic that our ECM, located right here, is responsible for controlling the AC clutch relay. The way it does that is by providing ground path from our relay coil down here to the module, where it has a driver that grounds the relay. When that happens, our voltage is allowed to feed from our fuse here through the relay and to the compressor clutch. So since we don't have an ECM like that anymore, we have to find a creative new way to energize that relay. So this is pretty simple. We can easily just divert this circuit here and send it off somewhere else where it can go through a little switch and then to ground. And so we can locate this switch right here inside the car, and whenever it's flipped closed, the compressor clutch relay will be energized and the clutch will get power in the same manner. The problem with that is anytime that this switch is on, this compressor will be energized, and that is at all times. So that is not ideal because you don't want the compressor running in conditions where refrigerant pressure is less than, say, about 20 psi. That's going to be in situations where you've lost refrigerant, it's leaked out, and we can't have the compressor running when we don't have anything in the system. So what we need to do in order to address that is we have to have a low pressure switch in the system. Right here, you'll see our AC dual pressure switch. This is two switches in one. The way that it works is it has one switch that is normally closed. That switch opens up whenever pressure is below that 20 psi. So anytime the system drops below 20 psi, we will see this switch go open, and that will send a signal to our engine control module saying, hey, we can't run the compressor right now, we don't have any refrigerant. But once again, we don't have one of these. We're running a standalone now. So not only do we have to find a way to energize our compressor clutch relay, we also have to find a way to utilize our low pressure switch. So the Lexus is actually wired up in a really brilliant way in that we can control all of this stuff without the use of any engine management system to control the output for the AC system. So basically, we can just get rid of the ECM altogether and install a switch. The switch will be located inside the car, somewhere where the driver can reach it at any time, and the switch is going to look like this. So when this switch is energized, assuming we have over 20 psi right here on this switch, it will be a closed circuit and it will allow the compressor to energize. If at any point we lose refrigerant pressure, the switch right here is going to go open, and no matter what position this switch is in, we will not have any compressor activation. So that takes care of compressor relay clutch control. But there's another thing we have to figure out in terms of running the AC system properly. We have to have some sort of cooling fan that is going to move air through the condenser and keep the refrigerant pressures low enough for safe operation when the car is not actually in motion. So when the vehicle is in motion, we don't have to rely on our cooling fan to move that air because it's just naturally blowing through the grill. But when you're sitting still, whether it be in traffic or a drive-through or whatever the case, that airflow stops, and we have to have that airflow to keep pressures at a safe level on the high side of the AC system. So this is where the brilliance of Toyota engineers really shines. So we do not need our engine control module to control our cooling fans. The very same switch that inhibits AC operation in low pressure conditions also engages the cooling fan. This guy right here. This is a 4-pin switch, and inside this switch is actually 2 switches. The one that we just discussed that's normally closed, and the other switch is a normally open switch. So this diagram is a little bit better for illustrating how the cooling fans work. So right here is our pressure switch, our dual pressure switch. This is just showing the fan control side of the circuits. So there's a lot going on here with these fans. You'll see 1, 2, 3 relays. You'll see the ECM. You'll see a diode. None of that really matters here for all intents and purposes. We're just here to talk about this switch right here. So anytime the refrigerant pressure goes over approximately 250 psi, this switch right here will energize. When it does, it will energize this relay, which will supply power to our fans to get the fans going, no matter what's going on. The other part of the control for these fan circuits is going to be our water temp sensor located right here. That is mounted on the lower part of the radiator, and that is a normally open switch. And whenever coolant reaches about 199 degrees, that switch will close, and it has the ability to energize the relays as needed. So we have 2 different measures here, 2 different inputs, if you will, for cooling fan control.
So I made this rig to try to figure out how I need to start out setting our Grimspeed little boost regulator here. So this thing's pretty simple, it just bleeds off pressure. And the way that I figured out we could do this is what I'm trying anyway, is I teed in my pressure gauge here and I just have compressed air going into that line. And so if I watch the gauge while I just start to use my compressed air, you can see right there, it's open up right around 20 psi. This is where it starts to relieve pressure. So that should get us close enough to try out and not just go crazy overboost, but also not have to like make 100 passes to get it up to where we want it. So surely this isn't an exact method. I mean, you can see if I squeeze the trigger a lot harder, it'll go a lot higher. So airflow has everything to do with it here. And that should put us pretty close to 20 psi. Greetings folks, Steve here and Matt, and we are at I-30 Dragway right now, starting the night off right with some dank I-30 burgers.
Delicious Dragway.
So this last week we got a new fuel pump in the Lexus, got everything working right with that. We took it for a little pull on the highway before we came here just to make sure the fuel map was okay. We had added a lot of fuel that we had to now remove, and everything looks good there. And I think we'll be a little rich, but that's fine. So we got here and got it up on the brake, and it started going way rich while on the nitrous. And had to take some fuel out of the nitrous, but
In addition to that, something that I did not film was I put the boost regulator on the Lexus set to what I think is going to be pretty close to 20 PSI. If it goes wildly over, we set boost cut at 25 because we don't really want to go there yet. Although we plan to very soon. We think we can. But we're hoping to get around 20 PSI tonight. And we get to see what the car will do on 20 PSI. It should see, of course, faster ET, but also increased mile an hour. And that's what we're hoping to achieve tonight. We're still on a 75 shot out of the hole. And it's so dead here. It's so slow. We're going to get to just take all the time we want. I don't know if we'll get any good matchups tonight, if we'll get any good races, but we'll definitely get some data and we'll get to try the car out and see where it's at. So we're pulling around to make our first pass of the night. I'm not sure how it's going to go. If it feels good, we'll freaking stay in it. I don't know what kind of boost it's going to run. Hopefully, no telling. Hopefully the right amount. Oh baby, she was on a mission. That was boost cut. She was on a mission, baby. She was freaking pulling. And then got a little bit too much on the boost controller. We're gonna have to come off of that a little bit. But I just took it easy and got out of it. Nope, it's not gonna go fast. Obviously it's gonna keep in boost cut as soon as we spool, so we will take her back. Shouldn't be too hot. Give it just a couple minutes and adjust the little boost regulator. Evidently I had it turned up a little bit too high. All right, baby. So what's a coolant temp at? 190. Oh, that's not bad. So our first pass was a bust because we hit boost cut. So we turned our little boost regulator, what should have been about 8 pounds. We'll see. It's 4 clicks per pound. So I don't know if that's going to be way too much or not enough. We're about to find out. But the good thing is we can get right up to the front of the line. So Matt's taking the wheel now, and we're going to see if we can make a clean A to B pass here without the presence of excess boost. Nitrous AFRs were right about where we would like them to be. And yeah, we're going to do the deal. We did just see a Dodge Viper pull up on the premises, which is pretty dope. Spun and hit boost cut. Ah! Hey, keep me in the puddle for the beginning of the burnout. Yeah, okay. Maybe that'll help. So we're only getting one tire turning. A little further, good. Hey, don't put me in the water. You're good. There it is. Right, got an A to B, baby. Finally went A to B. So we'll just have to see what kind of boost we ran. Here, that's the way it is. This thing sounds pretty good. Yeah, that's stinky. Think you can smoke them? Hopefully. That thing's clapped out
love it. Look at those wheels on the back. All right, dude, I'm out.
All right.
Alright, here we go. This might be our last run of the night.
That's a problem I didn't think we could have when we got those big ass tires on it. We didn't even have spray on it yet.
Yeah. All right. Oh, man. Oh, it's so hot and miserable out there, and then I just realized I could just turn the air conditioning on. Y'all are gonna think I'm the biggest pussy, but dude, it is freaking 10:30 at night and it's still 85 degrees. It is hot and muggy out here in North Texas. And I can't tell you how much I love having this freaking AC working. All right, I can see what that time was on my phone. Let me pull up my app. 99 by 1.960 foot, so it's a 7.8. 93.6 mile an hour though. Woo! Boy, we are cooking. Well, I think that's gonna about do it for us tonight. What did we achieve tonight?
New personal best, baby. 756.
7
at 96.
At 91.
91, yeah.
But we ran a 93 mile an hour pass on that last one.
Yes.
I added a little bit of timing, which it seemed to respond very well to, because it wasn't a great launch. It was only like a 1.860 foot. So things we need to work on. One tire burnouts.
Yes.
Again, this is happening to us. Also, launch consistency. How long do we sit on the nitrous before we leave? We've seen some varying 60-foot times, but we are on 20 PSI now. We gained a few mile an hour or more.
Yeah.
Really, because I think 89 was our best before that. So like 4 mile an hour on our best. We shaved off at least a tenth. We shaved off like a tenth on our best time. But the prep wasn't there tonight. We just knocked the tires off on several passes. We wasted several passes with dealing with boost cut. But now we got the car where we want the boost, and it's just a matter of getting on a nice prep surface with some decent DA.
Yeah.
And just kind of refining the tune. So at this point, we just want to clean things up, get it running smooth, safe, and then we're going to turn it up some more. Because why the hell wouldn't we? I mean, what else are we going to do? I haven't checked our duty cycle, but with the new pump, we haven't had any leading out issues. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week. I appreciate you guys watching and following along, and tune in next week, and we'll see what we're up to then.